Well, I got this old Mercury Mountaineer. It should be the same as I think a Ford Expedition. It's a 2003 V6 all-wheel drive. The steering is real sloppy on the front. All the ball joints are worn out. It has 213,000 miles on it, so it turns okay. It's just going straight. There's just that slop in the steering. So today we're going to try and fix that without spending any money. Of course, the first thing I always want to check is the steering shaft here. Now mine has a U-joint up there, and it seems tight enough. I don't believe there's any grease fittings on it or anything. Now if you have an older vehicle and it has a rag joint, one of those rubber steering couplings, a lot of times those will need replaced. They just wear out, they get old, they get stiff, and you get a whole bunch of slop in there. So those are usually like 10 or 15 bucks. But in my case, this looks good, and I know the problem is further down. The next thing you check is if you have an older vehicle that has a conventional gearbox, especially like if it's a Ford, I know it'll have a threaded shaft on the top, and it'll have some sort of hex at the top of the shaft or a reverse Torx or something, and then there'll be a nut. And so you can crack the nut loose, you can tighten down the shaft kind of as far as it'll go, wiggle the wheel, tighten it, and then take it off. I think it's a quarter turn, and then tighten your jam nut. There's a way that you you set, there's supposed to be a set amount of slop in there, but you can take up a little bit of slop in the gearbox. In my case, I have rack and pinion steering. There may be an adjustment, but it's buried pretty far in there, and I'm not going to worry about it because, again, I know part of my problem, at least, is further down. So we removed our tire, and perhaps here you can see the issue. And that's been greased, but so we're going to take our tie rod end non-damaging removal tool, and we're going to remove this tie rod end. Of course, we rented this from the auto parts store, and as you can see, it does not fit. I believe that's because this is aluminum, so it has to be 30 times thicker than steel. So we're going to take put the nut on there, maybe a mallet and a little bit of finesse, and see if we can pop it off without destroying it. If not, I have a pickle fork laying around. And so we are simply going to take our tie rod end and rotate it one turn, toe in on each side. That way it's symmetrical, because this thing tracks fairly straight. So we're going to try and keep as much of the alignment as we can. So hopefully, with the tires toe in, what will happen is they'll want to go toe out. There'll be some drag there. And so we'll load all of these floppy ball joints in the positive direction, right? It'll take up all of the slack in one direction, and hopefully just the drag of the tires wanting to straighten out will hold it there. So let's give that a try and see if that works. Well, hopefully you can hear me. So what's the verdict? It seems like I actually removed the front CV axles too, because there's no front drive shaft. It's not doing anything. I gotta say, there's no substitute for having working ball joints, but this definitely feels better than it did. Yeah, honestly, this is quite a bit better. It's not as good as new, but it's much easier to control now than it was. Sometimes if I flop the wheel, I get into, I can take up the slop in reverse direction, so then I get a little bit of a flop. But going straight, there's no slop in my steering wheel like there used to be. I can't jiggle the steering wheel back and forth freely like it once did. So overall, for having spent no money on this project, I would say that's an improvement. I'm happy. I think that was time well spent. So I'm satisfied. I will see you next time.
Yeah, baby, yeah! There it is!
So this is super crazy dangerous. I think you need about 300 amps.
You riding this? What the fuck is happening?
Balin said not to talk crap about this Kernel. It's a piece of shit.
That right there is Balin Mania, and we are going to do something really stupid today. This is a terrible idea. Balin might die.
This is so unbelievably sketchy.
That's the power of really old engineering.
Why must you put me through this, you jerk?
Hey, aren't you the guy with the truck? Oh shit, the guy with the truck.
Not okay.
Make a wish, everyone.
Make a wish.
No, I'm not doing this.
No, go.
You went too far.
Someone doesn't stop us. I have no faith in authority at all.
He's making me uncomfortable.
That shit burns well.
Yeah, it does. That's good tape. He's still looking at us. We should probably leave. Yeah, he is. He's intently staring at us. This guy, man. This guy.